Today is July 20, 2008. Frank Thompson recording this. He was just telling me that there was another witness that was at the scene right up until the police officer got there. Go ahead, Frank.
Yes, and he was parked behind the vehicle that struck us. And right before the officer got there, he did pull up, giving up, and went on his way. And I did have Lisa write that license plate number down, so I have that on a piece of paper with his license plate number, and just in case it was necessary. I gave that to the officer as well. I don't know that he noted that. I don't think it's in the report.
Right.
But I gave him that driver's license number, but I didn't give him the only copy. I just read it to him to put on the report.
Sure. So what is that, if you can lay your fingers on it while we're waiting here for Lisa?
I'm about to see where she wrote that down,
Right,
Kurt. But she did write that down for me. And
okay, I'm going to stop recording for just a minute and let you sign these authorizations.
Okay.
Quarterback, you say Lisa goes to the surgeon next week.
I believe the 27th. Yeah, they're suggesting she's torn her labinum. I don't know if that holds her arm socket, and so they're looking at that. And she's still having lots of problems with that wrist, very painful, but she sees the doctor as well, so we can address that wrist. That's still pretty, they didn't put a cast on that. They actually put a hard one that you could take off, and they said it was okay for her to work that, but I'm not sure that's working out so well. So we'll see what the doctor says next week on that.
Okay.
So,
What problems, let's just go back with the wreck. Describe to me how the wreck happened.
well, I came up to a school zone, and it was there was a flashing red light. So it was a four-way stop flashing red light. And I had stopped, and I just started taking off, and boom, we were hit. I have no idea. It seemed like it shoved us about 20 foot out in the middle of the road. So we were just hit.
You never saw it before?
No, didn't see anything. Didn't see it coming. Probably good. Don't know. But no, immediately I was just, what I can recall was I was dizzy, and I wrote that down because I have a hard time remembering things. But I was real dizzy, nausea. I was starting to get out of the vehicle, and I just. The guy came. I remember the guy coming up to the car, and he says, "Hey, I used to be a paramedic." I think it was her passenger, and he says, "Don't move."
The passenger of
the car who hit me, yeah. He said, "Don't. If you're dizzy like that and you're nausea," I felt like I was going to get sick, but I never did. That's what I have for the last.
But you told him you felt like you were going to vomit.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I was just really nausea, and the dizziness was terrible. Lisa was in tears, holding her arm. We didn't know what happened. A little bit of time came. I called 911. I had no idea where I was at, but I called 911. They said they knew where we were at. I guess maybe other people had called in, or maybe they had us by G. I don't know how they had us tracked, but they said they knew where we were at. The police officer showed up. I couldn't remember. I said, I can't remember the light turning green. I said, but I know I had just taken off. But anyhow, there's no green light. It's a flashing red light. He said, well, there is none. It's a flashing red light.
Well, you were disoriented.
Oh, I had no idea what happened. Yeah, I was just totally.
And what's your first memory after the crash? As I'm looking for some loss of time, if it occurred. In other words, you might have been unconscious for a moment.
They asked me that, and I don't. It seemed like when I came to, and I know but I don't think I ever lost consciousness.
Well, what's your last memory before the collision, and your first one afterwards?
Just taking off.
All right. So you remember the sound of the crash?
The only thing I remember is I remember something like a Can't Be Us. So I kind of remember that, and then it's almost like it was a double hit. I know I have no explanation of that. It was just maybe because, and I just don't know.
Do you remember
really.
the sound of the crash?
Yes, now but it didn't seem like it was us.
Yeah, it seemed kind of outer body experience, or
Just like somebody got hit, but then it was us. So that's all I don't know.
okay. So, what's your first vivid memory after the crash?
Lisa holding her arm and crying is the only thing I remember, and I was worried about that. But then I was so nauseated that
You felt like you were
oh
gonna get
God, it was just bad. Yeah, I just felt like I was going to get sick to my stomach, and I was dizzier than heck. But the nausea was just terrible, and that persisted till the 27th, 28th. Anyhow, that's phased out June 27, 28. I started getting better, but yes, that was just horrid that whole time. So that anytime I do anything, that nausea and the dizziness would set in.
Did you ever actually vomit?
No, through that whole time, but I no appetite, couldn't eat. So if I started doing some activity, couldn't eat. Coming back from physical therapy, just the driving, I didn't realize this was probably before they said it was a concussion. But even driving back, by the time I get home, I couldn't eat. If I'm hungry when I would start, by the time I get home, I was just So the activity or driving, the sun. I'd have to look at. I know when I saw Dr. Hughes, probably about 2 weeks after this incident, is when I was telling about the nausea, can't eat. If I do much, then I get this nausea sets in, and I'm just shot, and I'm worn out by 2 o'clock. My vision blurred so bad I couldn't read. When I was taking phone calls, it's my people were just really loud. Well, that lasted for a good 3-4 weeks, and I actually have it written down because I got to where I couldn't remember squat, so I had to start writing things down so I could remember them.
And you generally had a pretty good memory, as I recall.
Well, I have an excellent memory, still long term, but my routines are just shot to heck. Just like taking I take for prostrate, I take saw pimento. Yeah, I can remember things just. But anyhow, and I still do good with some distant things, but the things of the moment are disastrous. Where I'm just not as. I just don't feel I'm not as coordinated, I guess is what I'll say. So balance and my short-term memory was terrible.
I'm not getting away from my desk today. Hello, Kurt.
Good to see you.
But anyhow. So yeah, my memory is really pretty good as far as remembering things back and things, but my short-term memory is probably the biggest issue I have. Is I just don't seem to recall what I'm doing, and so just minor, but it's major enough that it throws me off. Even today, I left without turning those lights, but I said, gee, and I'm just systematically. So the systematic stuff I do is where I'm a little bit weak. And then the blurring of the eyes. I still cannot take off caller ID. It starts blurring together on me. So right now, this is right now, I'm down to, if I do too much, the nausea. It's not really nausea, it's just I lose my appetite now. So I'm down to really just appetite, blurred vision.
Short-term memory.
Short-term memory, but the long-term memory, I can think back. I just don't dwell on things. I usually dwell on things. When I wake up at night, I'm studying, I'm doing paperwork, doing planning sessions. Well, all that's been out. I can't do nothing. I can't dwell on anything. So some of that's good. Because really, I've gotten to where I actually go back to sleep. Normally, I'm up doing something because I kind of enjoy doing that, and I'm bad about it. Through this whole deal, I'm just shot. And really, by 2 o'clock, I am shot through the day. And they kind of explain that to me. It's probably because you probably should be on half days and resting. Your mind's, I'm trying to read computer screens, deal with client issues. Most of that I've been passing off. So Lisa's been handling that. My staff's been handling that. I've just got to where I just let it go. And so I just can't dwell. The last 6-7 days, though, I'm feeling a lot more secure with that. So I'm actually dealing with a lot more activity and handling it pretty well. If I do too much, I get these headaches. So the headaches set in. But